It all came down to a kick, and, you know, it was close, but as they say, no cigar.
Oh, those Oilers. Here's Craig with a preview of Sports Sunday. Hi, Craig.
Well, it's only the stinking Sunday number 2. Only 2. We've had to do this. Remains of the Redskins scattered all over the place, but they won the game. We'll go live to Bart Ennis in Washington for the post-game reaction. Then we'll travel up the coast a bit to see who survived the New York City Marathon. And we've got a scoop for you. The real reason the Moors donated $51 million to the University of Houston. Stay with us.
Okay, we'll do that. Thanks, Craig.
Hi, gang. It's been one of those weekends. Both my kids' soccer teams lost. My wife needs a root canal. And then this happened.
4 seconds remaining in regulation. Houston and Washington tied at 13. Perhaps the Houston Oilers career of Ian Halfield on the line from 33 yards away. And it is no good.
As if we needed to see that again, the Oilers losing in overtime 16-13. That was the end of regulation. Bart Ennis is still in the D.C. area. As a longtime Oiler watcher, he's seen worse losses on the road, believe me. In my opinion, Bart, you wanted to win, but losing to the best NFC team at their place by only 3 isn't the end of the road, is it?
No, it certainly isn't, but you have to feel for Ian Halfield. This is a guy that last week in the Cincinnati game, we saw his confidence starting to waver after he missed 3 extra points in that ball game. They had some problems with the snaps. He had 2 different holders working in that game. And he admitted during the week, this past week, that yes, he was feeling the pressure a little bit. And then before today's game, in the pregame warm-up, several people that were on the field told me that he looked like he was really struggling in the warm-ups, missed several kicks. He hit the 2 early field goals, and then he just barely made the extra point to tie it in the 4th quarter today. And then, of course, as you just saw, he missed there at the end of regulation that would have given the Oilers the win. Now, after the game, his teammates were pretty gracious. There was no finger-pointing going on, but Halfield still felt very much the GOAT. The nature of your business is such that this opportunity will arise again. Do you think about this then?
Oh, yeah. I'll think about this day. I mean, I want to think about this day because I don't want to ever go through it again. I could have put us up 8-1 and going home, and we're looking good halfway through the year. And, you know, I can't wait for the next kick. And that's all I'm going to kick for this week. Think about a game winner.
Do you feel like your job is in jeopardy?
You know, I don't know. I wasn't a draft pick, and it all depends on how these coaches feel about my potential. You know, the guy that made the game-winning kick today, and he's over there, and he's happy. But I tell you what, he's been through this, and he did it twice in a row. And you know, that's what I look at. I just, you know, if they believe in me, I'm staying, and if they don't, well, I'm gone. And all you got to do is just come back.
Well, coming back will be tough to do after that particular performance today, Craig. As you know, I mean, those kind of kicks, they tend to stick with you. And a kicker's confidence is a very fragile thing, as we've all seen it. It's kind of like a baseball pitcher. Suddenly he's having problems throwing strikes, and he starts thinking about it, and it just gets worse and it gets worse. It's the same thing with a golf swing or anything else. And right now, I think Ian is really struggling with his confidence, and whether or not the team will keep him or bring in some other kickers remains to be seen.
Okay, Bart, we'll get back to you. Of course, the other thing, too, is that there aren't many good kickers out there. If they were all that good, they'd already be kicking for another team. We'll get the Bum Phillips report in a few moments as well, but I want to go back 1 week. Last Sunday night when Halfield missed 3 extra points, we all said, that's got to be fixed. Now, Bum said this about the Washington game.
That's the one area, that's the only area of a football team that kind of worries me a little. I mean, I just, you know, you're driving down after that last opportunity in the 4th quarter and you're letting the time run down. Do you say, okay, we're not going to take any chances, we're going to kick our field goal 30 yards out, or do you go ahead and try to score? I'm not so sure I think we can make a 30-yard field goal in the clutch.
Bum was right on the money, wasn't he? He was absolutely right. Well, let's recap some of the highlights for you. Oilers only rushing for 25 yards all day, so don't just shoot the kicker. And as far as streaks are concerned, the Oilers have now lost 4 straight overtime games over the years. Again, 16-13 OT, the final. Big play, if you recall early, the reversal on Moon's first down pass to Hill, ruling that the knee touched, and he was touched by the rushing linebacker before the pass to Drew Hill. I wouldn't argue with that one. The Oilers obviously disappointed, but it was a pretty good call. They had to punt, and that led to the first score of the game. The end of the quarter, it was no score, but this was early in the second. Miller from 21 yards out. But then Ian Haufield, as Bart suggested, didn't seem to have any problems at all hitting this one from 24. Then the Oilers would get another turnover, something the takeaway giveaway factor has been very much in their favor so far this year. Lamar Latham's third interception of the season, and that would again set up Ian Haufield, this time from 23, and it was 6-3 Oilers at the half. So again, there was nothing to suspect that he was going to have a problem. The hit of the day, Bubba McDowell on Gary Clark. That is a major league knockdown right there. And then it appeared as if Washington was off to the races, ripping to Irvins for a touch. That was called back because of a holding call. Miller then had to hit from 21, and they had still dodged another bullet. It was 6-6. Lorenzo White, you said all along when he came back, well, he'd fumbled a couple of critical times last year. Would he do it again? It appeared as if he did this year as well in this particular game, because bingo, it was Ernest Biner off the right side. That's that counter tray set that they previewed before the game from 23 yards out, and the touchdown. It was not over, as you know, although they had the lead. White obviously anxious to get back in and redeem himself. Moon to Hill, 20 yards to the 20. This would set up the tying touchdown as the time was going down. But it appeared, as White went in for the touch to tie at 13, that the Oilers had scored with too much time left. But then the kickoff was fumbled. Rick Graff made the strip. The Oilers recover, and they did it just like you're supposed to do it. They ran the clock all the way down. They're in perfect position, and bingo, he hooks it to the left. Now, much was made at the time on the broadcast that the holder perhaps was to blame, as Greg Montgomery did not swivel the ball around. See, as you can see, the white lines of the ball on the right side, rather than trying to turn it around to get the seams in position to kick. Well, I'm suggesting that a big league kicker would make that regardless. That ball could have been flat down, and from that distance, you've got to kick it. Miller gets the winning score to go 4 minutes into the overtime from 41 out. Let's go back to Channel 2's Washington Bureau. More with Bart. Bart?
Thanks, Craig. Well, you know, there was a lot of hype surrounding this football game, a lot of people calling this the preview of the Super Bowl and so forth, a lot of media attention. But after the game, the players were really kind of saying that they really didn't feel that way, that this was just another football game with an NFC opponent, not a conference opponent, not a divisional opponent. And while there was a lot of hype and a lot of media attention, they really didn't feel it was that big of a ball game, only the 9th game of the season. And so it was kind of really more a barometer of where the football team is right now, since they're playing one of the top teams in the league in Washington. And we found out that the Oilers are pretty darn good. There weren't a whole lot of offensive points scored in this one. That's because the two defenses made this one a fun to watch.
If defense wins championships, like the old saying goes, then the chances are pretty good that these two teams will meet again in a game that does mean something. The Redskins led the league in total points scored coming into this one, and the Oilers were third, but the two defenses were better today. There was only one sack in the game, so both offensive lines were getting it done, but 3 full quarters were played before either team could get the ball into the end zone. That's bending, but not breaking, and there was some hitting going on. The Oilers came up with 2 huge goal line stands in this ballgame, once early in the second quarter and again from the 1-yard line in the third. Both times, the potent Redskin offense was forced to settle for a field goal. Washington threw a variety of defensive tactics at the Oilers, usually substituting 5 or 6 players between plays. I thought the Oilers might try a no-huddle offense to negate that, but they never did. In all honesty, though, the Oilers shouldn't feel that bad. Consider these factors. They were the visitor in one of the toughest places in the league in which to win, and they almost pulled it off. Warren Moon was not particularly sharp. He threw 2 interceptions and no touchdowns, snapping his club record for consecutive games with a touchdown pass. They had virtually no running game. Ernest Biner, on the other hand, rushed for 112 yards against them, and they converted only 3 of 12 third downs, an area in which the Oilers have been very good this year. Yet the game was still there for the taking with 1 second left. Nope, these guys should not hang their heads.
We've got to feel good about, some things we did good in the game, but then again, we lost the football game. So We just got to try and bounce back from this one, not dwell on the past, not dwell on what happened here, and get our sights set for next week and try and start another winning streak.
It was a tremendous effort on both sides of the ball, and I can only see positive things coming from this defeat. You know, in my mind, and I'm sure I can speak for everyone else, we felt like we really won this game.
You think you may see him again sometime?
Well, we hope to see him again. You know, we just need to concentrate on what we do. We got Dallas and Cleveland at home, and take care of them too, and just concentrate on what we have to do, and I'm sure we will see them again.
Well, of course, if they do see him again, it will be in the Super Bowl. Next up, of course, Craig, the Cowboys in the Dome, and I don't know, but for me, it just won't be the same if the Governor's Cup is not at stake. Let's go back to you.
Well, that's true, Bart. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the evening in the nation's capital. Fan of the game is up next. Again, we go to RFK Stadium, and our fan of the game is this fella. He is truly sensitive to the nickname Redskins, 50 Indians protesting the nickname of the football club before the game. Also, another tip of the hat to the Marine Corps for holding their annual marathon before the game started, thus totally lousing up traffic for at least 4 hours. We'll be back with Bum and see what he had to say after this one. The Skins will be in the locker room as well, and we'll chase down the rest of the day's pigskin action. Continuing to cover the Oiler game today, Darrell Green got the last of the 2 Warren Moon interceptions, and the native of Houston certainly liked that part of the game. Later, Chip Lohmiller was certainly glad he didn't miss his chance to win the game.
Anytime you get it, it's the biggest one, but no, really, this one is really big. This was against my hometown group and all my aunts and uncles, brothers, sisters, daddies, everybody watching it. Feels good.
You know, it was overtime, it was tied, and I felt confident going in there, and, you know, they missed one, and this is just one more chance for us to win the game, and I was pretty confident.
What do you say to a guy like outfield?
You know, you got to just stick it, you know, keep practicing, and don't dwell on what the past has gone through.
Well, the Washington locker room was up-tempo, as one might expect, and head coach Joe Gibbs had this to say.
We're halfway through a horse race, and, you know, for any kind of race you're halfway, you're not going to say who's the winner going to be. And certainly we haven't, you know, won anything yet, but I do think that they have a heck of a football team, and I said to Coach Pardee, hey, it'd be great to play again, but you don't know what will happen, you know, down the road. Both of us got a lot to do before we can even get in the playoffs.
Well, Bum Phillips called it last week. You heard him say already he didn't think the Oilers could get a clutch 30-yard field goal. Here's what he said after the game today.
Boy, that was a tough one. One whale of a football game. Lived up to everyone's expectations, really, didn't it?
Knockdown, drag-out. I thought there were 2 great football teams on the field. Of course, disappointed that we didn't win, but it proves that we can play with them, and we can play with anybody if you can play with Washington.
You pretty much had to have that feeling in the fourth quarter in the broadcast booth. You guys did that this one was going to come down to who could pounce on the big play, who could capitalize on an opportunity.
Yeah, and that's what it turned out to be too. You know, they made a field goal, we missed a field goal, but you know, I was just proud of the way they played for 4 quarters, where they kept coming up with big plays and making that long drive when we had to offensively to score a touchdown, to win the thing, to tie the thing where we could get into overtime. I don't have anything to hang my head about.
Being a guy that's seen a few defenses in his day, what did you think about those 2 out there today?
I thought they were outstanding. In fact, they surprised me that they could stop each other as well as they did. I thought it'd be about a 24-20 ball game. It didn't turn out that way. They both played really hard football.
Ian Halfield, how can he be feeling? How should his teammates react to him?
Well, you know, you're going to miss some field goals. There's no doubt about that. It's just unfortunate that the kid missed that one when we needed it that bad. But you got to go through some of those. You know, you got to miss some, and you got to make more than you miss. But you're going to have to miss some of them. I think Buffalo last year lost the Super Bowl when their kicker missed a field goal to win the ball game, and they didn't waive him.
Okay, here's the Oiler office pool report. Nothing into 1, 6-3 at the half. It was 6-6 into 3, 13-13 end of regulation, and then the extra. I don't know how you handle that with the office pools, because they've never won one of the office pools. The blue ribbon player of the game is, for the 2nd time this season, linebacker Lamar Lathan. Lathan had his 3rd interception of the season, also made several key tackles. He is Bum's player.